How's it going, everybody? My name is Rinzler here, back again for another video, and welcome back to Yay Nay or Okay. I am 2 weeks late on making this video, I think. Has it been 2 weeks? I don't remember. I just want to apologize. I know I should have made this video a while ago, or at least a video. I ended up just re-uploading, this video that I recorded back in August, which it was a video from my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, and it was basically me acting out a scene from Amadeus. If you guys remember from my Amadeus review, I talked about how I'd done videos like that on my Facebook page and how I'd like to do them on the channel in the future. And well, I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I just decided to re-upload that to YouTube. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I have a really dumb looking haircut in that video, but besides that, it's alright. At least in my opinion, everybody says it's good. And my mom keeps harping on me because I don't like, performing as an actor, and she tells me I'm really talented and I should. But then some other people say I don't emote very well, so I'm getting conflicting, responses. Speaking of conflicting responses, my Iron Man review got conflicting responses in the comments. One guy really thought that I was talking too much about the plot and not enough about what I liked and didn't like. And another guy was just praising it all the way, saying that he really liked how I was doing it. So I'm going to try and find somewhere in the middle with this. So I'm going to only talk about key points in the plot, but keep talking about everything else. So let me know if the system works or if I should do videos more like my Iron Man review. And as you probably noticed from the title of this video, this review is not about The Incredible Hulk like I said it was going to be. I'm taking a break from my MCU thing. I know I've only done one episode of that, but I realized I don't really want to review that movie right now. I don't enjoy reviewing movies I think are just okay, because it's not like you can talk about everything you love about it or everything you hate. You just have to say things like, oh, this was okay, it wasn't terrible, it wasn't my favorite, it was alright, and I don't like making reviews like that, so I just was really unmotivated to make the Incredible Hulk video, and not to mention, I've been going through a lot of trouble lately, so I just didn't have the motivation, because I've been just having such a hard time in school lately, and then I come home and I'm just really tired. So I just haven't been motivated. So I'm sorry that this is not The Incredible Hulk and that this is 2 weeks late. So anyway, let's get into the review. Today I'm going to be talking about a movie called Hugo, which is directed by Martin Scorsese. It stars Asa Butterfield as the main protagonist that the movie is named after. Apologies if I pronounced that name wrong. Asa Butterfield. I didn't want to say Asa Butterfield because I thought that was wrong. So if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sorry. He seems like a nice guy. Basically, it stars a 12-year-old boy named Hugo who works the clocks in 1930s France. I believe it's France. They speak English during the movie, but I'm not entirely sure if they're in England or France. I think it's France because some of the names sound French. And basically, the boy's father, he dies in a tragic fire, and he used to run a museum, his father, and the only thing his father leaves behind is this automaton, and it needs a heart-shaped key to work, and Hugo's obsessing over this automaton because he's so sure that, because the automaton, it writes something out when the key is inserted into it, and he's really sure that the thing it writes is a message from his father. So he's obsessed with fixing this automaton and finding the key for it. But anyway, because his father's dead and he's only 12 years old, he's orphaned by his uncle, and his uncle runs the clocks of the city. And anyway, his uncle's a neglectful alcoholic, and eventually he kind of just disappears. And the station inspector, because he lives in a train station for some reason, probably because his family's not very rich, he knows the station inspector, he takes kids that are orphans in secret, and he whisks them away to the orphanage, really cruelly, actually, and Hugo knows the station inspector will do that if he finds out his uncle's been away as long as he has. So he keeps running the clocks to make it look like his uncle is still there. And yeah, that's basically that. And he starts talking to this old man named Georges Méliès, who runs this little shop in the train station where he basically sells and repairs knickknacks. And he and Hugo kind of have both a rivalry and a sort of grandfather-son relationship. The guy kind of cares about Hugo a little bit, and Hugo is kind of intrigued by the old man, but the old man's also kind of mean to Hugo because Hugo has stolen from him in the past to try and fix the automaton. So there's that. Anyway, Hugo actually meets Georges' granddaughter, who actually has a heart-shaped key as a necklace, which he correctly assumes is for the automaton. And they later use the automaton, and the automaton actually draws out a poster of this movie that his father, Hugo's father, had gone to go see. And the picture is autographed with Georges Méliès. They find out that Georges actually used to be this big filmmaker. So they delve into his history via reading books and talking to a fanboy of his, and they learn more and more about the guy. And basically, as they find out more about his past, Georges just fills in the blanks for them. How like World War II and the Great Depression kind of ruined, or not World War II, World War I, I should say, and the Great Depression just totally ruined everything for him. And he was forced to sell everything. And now he's a bitter old man who's lost pretty much all of his works because his films were melted down to make the heels of shoes, actually, which is really depressing. And yeah, by the end of the movie, Hugo comes to terms with his father's death. Georges saves him from the station inspector, who's also gone on a mini story of his own. The station inspector is a really underrated character. He's cruel through most of the movie, but he has a softer side. He is a World War I veteran, the station inspector, who severely injures his leg during the war. He actually wears this metal brace on his leg that creaks, and he's in love with this woman who sells flowers, and they have really awkward flirting, and it's adorable as hell. It makes my heart melt watching those two. And at the end of the movie, at one point in the movie, he actually catches Hugo, and Hugo has to escape from him. But later on in the movie, Hugo actually falls on the train tracks with his automaton, and he goes and he saves Hugo from getting run over by the train, which is a great scene. And Hugo is like crying at the station inspector, like, please, you have to let me go. And it's a really emotional scene. And the woman who sells flowers is trying to convince him to let Hugo go, and he's stubborn, but Georges eventually comes and saves him, and it's a really sweet scene. And there's this awesome scene at the end where like the station inspector is with the flower woman, whose name is Lisette, by the way. And they show off all of Georges' movies, which they've managed to collect from everywhere in this big marathon. And it's just a really, really satisfying ending to a really good film. This was one of two movies I actually saw on the same day in the theater. Basically, I wanted to go see The Muppets, and my mom wanted to go see The Muppets as well, but my grandma wanted to see Hugo as well. So we were going to go see The Muppets, and then the next day we were going to go see Hugo, but that actually ended up getting reversed because The Muppets, the entire theater was packed. And we couldn't get seats, so we actually ended up going to see Hugo that day, and we didn't see the Muppets until like the next day. So that was that story. And I remember it very distinctly because, as you guys know, I'm a huge WWE fanboy, and you guys probably won't believe me, but I met Triple H at that movie theater. Triple H was there with his family, and he went to go see the Muppets, and it was pretty cool. I wish I could have been in the theater with him for that. Or I don't remember if he was going to see the Muppets or something else. All I know is he was at the theater at the same time as me, and I remember my mom was urging me to go and talk to him, but I was like, no, he's here with his family. He doesn't want fans bothering him, I'm sure. And I remember Triple H heard that, and he looked at me and he gave me like this wink, and it was really cool. That's why I remember this so well. But Hugo itself was such a great movie, I almost actually forgot about Triple H, surprisingly. It's just a beautiful film. Like, despite the grimy, dirty setting of like 1920s, 30s France slash England, wherever it is, it looks good. It looks really nice and steampunk. Like, so it fits the bill of what it's supposed to look like while also retaining its majestic feel. And learning about how movies came into being is not what you expect. I mean, the poster of this movie is Hugo like clutching on the arm of a giant clock, the clock he lives in, because the station inspector is chasing after him. And that's actually a pretty intense scene, if I'm being honest, to actually watch, especially in a movie theater. So you immediately think that the movie is going to be about clockwork or some form of time, but it's not. It's about movies. And I think that's a really pleasant surprise. And I didn't know much about the history of movies. And so I got to learn about how movies came into being at a really young age and what people expected from movies back then. And it was just really, really cool to watch for that. And it also helps that Georges' tortured soul is really cool to slowly unravel as the movie goes on. You know he's not an asshole like they kind of try to portray him as in the early stages. You know there's something else with him. And you just can't wait to find out what it is. And I called him his granddaughter. It's actually his goddaughter. I apologize about that. His goddaughter is just a really nice character as well. So basically, I think all the characters in this movie are just really nice to watch. All of them really do fit the bill of what characters of that time would be like, while also retaining a healthy amount of optimism for the future, which at that point it was probably hard to think of the future as anything but dark. I mean, the world was about to enter World War II just a few years after this. And it's not that they could know that, but the world itself just wasn't very good in Europe at that point. So seeing these characters with a healthy amount of optimism for the world despite all that is great. And the redemption arc of Georges, this tortured soul character who you know isn't the asshole they portray him as, to being a beloved movie maker who gets the rightful praise he deserves at the end of the movie and gets to show off all of his works. And seeing him take in Hugo, who's been this troubled, lonely soul. It's revealed that his uncle actually died. He drunk himself to death on a beach, which is really depressing. And the station inspector, seriously, super underrated character. I couldn't have done that better if I was making the movie. They did a really great job with this film. It's my one and only Martin Scorsese film I've ever watched. I've heard all of his movies are good. So if Hugo's anything to go by, I'm definitely going to watch more of his stuff. And I'm going to give Hugo a huge yay because it deserves it. The set pieces are amazing. The CGI is seamless. There's hardly any CGI, but the few CGI that there is looks great. And all the characters are great in their own way. Even the bad guy characters eventually get their redemption stories, which I'm a huge sucker for, which is why Jamie Lannister is on my wall of heroes. And, you know, I like the music, too. The music isn't anything to scream about, but it is pleasant to the ears, and it does help the scenes go along very well. And honestly, this is just one of my favorite movies, period. So, because of that, I'm giving Hugo a huge yay. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm sorry if I'm rushing this last part through. My grandma just peeked in through the door. She's got my dinner. So I think I talked about everything I need to talk about in this movie. I went over the plot. I discussed what I liked. There's really nothing I dislike about this movie, except it is a little depressing because it is kind of a kid's film. But I also think that kids should be exposed to stuff like that minor tragedy stuff, not necessarily seeing people die, but just knowing that that can happen. You know, it creates a nice amount of fear in kids. Like, kids shouldn't always be not afraid. Kids should be afraid every now and then so that they can learn. At least that's my opinion. Maybe I'd be a bad parent, I'm not sure. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to, well, like it. And give it a thumbs up. Share this video with all your friends and all your social medias. Make sure to leave your comments in the comments section down below. Watch all the other videos here on the Rinzler Network, both by myself and by Brother Bear. And I will see all you dudes and chicks in the next video.